Hey, what's up? Whoever's watching this, I don't know. If I end up going with actually pursuing this, I guess this will be the first of my little video diary thing. Going with the Gary Vee approach of document, um, document over create. So yeah, it's October 12th. Just had a great little day at the pumpkin patch here in upstate New York. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. So, about a week ago, I had this idea, or my wife and I were driving home from doing some grocery shopping, and we're talking about how when we moved from California to Virginia, and we ended up we sold like most of our stuff, like especially all of our big stuff, but just a ton of our stuff, and we did like yard sales, and we're talking about it, and I was talking about how much fun I had, and just the different ways I did it to be creative, and how much fun I had with that, and how much I enjoyed that. I did stuff like I would do like pre-yard sale videos. So like if we're gonna do a Saturday and a Sunday, like Friday, I'd go and I'd put everything out, and then I'd record like an 11-minute tour video of like not literally every little item, but like the big stuff and the general stuff. Like, oh, here's clothes. I wouldn't go into like each item and stuff, but like, the different things. And then people would like message me and be like, how much is this for? And I would like pre-negotiate, and then they'd be like, well, I'll be here at such and such time. And so people like, I probably sold more than half of our yard sale stuff wasn't just because I wasn't advertising. Like, we didn't have a normal advertising, I should say. We didn't put up yard sale signs. We didn't do any of that. It was all like we're posting in like yard sale groups and Facebook, which everyone was doing. But like I said, I was doing all this extra stuff. I was taking like the things I had the most interest on. So I do the video, and then I'd pre-sell a bunch of this stuff, so they'd be like, oh, I'll be there, and I wouldn't guarantee anything for anyone. And so then they'd show up. I'd be like, well, I can't guarantee it because like I'm trying to get all this gone. Oh, I'll be there at 1:30. And then they'd show up, and I'd sell it to them. And I'd do stuff like things that had the most questions on but weren't actually getting sold. I would take like photos of and post those. And then during the week, what I would do is same thing kind of thing, but then I would use my copywriting skills, and I'd write out these whole things and all about the features and the benefits and this and that and whatnot. One of my favorites was I wrote about this chair, and I wrote about it was really funny because I wrote this whole story about this is not a normal chair, this is like a big boy chair, because there's this like huge overstuffed recliner. And then the girl who actually bought it was actually a very petite girl, and so she even made a joke about it, about like not being, and it's like, I'm trying to sell it to some fat dude, and ended up going to this really petite girl, but she was pretty cool. And so just selling all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, that was so much fun. But my thing is, like, because I know Gary Vee talks all the time about like retail arbitrage and whatnot, and it was like, oh, well, I've never wanted to source the stuff. I've always just wanted to. That was easy because it was stuff I already had. And my grandma's the yard seller, and she loves getting a good deal. And for me, just I never liked that part of it. And even in Virginia, I tried a little bit. Like, I'd buy some stuff, but then I'd buy stuff I was interested in, and I just want to keep it. I did do some. I did, sell a few things on eBay, but just didn't really get into like the full retail arbitrage type thing like Gary talked about. So we were talking about that, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to just have this like show I did like every week, talking about like I was doing some research, and I was looking up some old Wine Library TV episodes, and he talks sometimes and jokes about how like, oh yeah, his first gig was like the best gig. Like, he sat around for a half hour, drank 3 bottles of wine, and talked about wine and sports, and then that was his job. And I remember I was like, man, I would love to just do something like that, where like I had these products, and it was like that yard sale thing and I was like trying to sell these and just hype them, and I could be crazy. Like, I could use in like my sketch video stuff too, so I could do like live streaming, but then I could have these like funny pre-done things and these characters, and it could be like Nate's Emporium of Junk, which is my middle name, and I went by my junior year in high school. And I was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be so much fun. And I was like, I just don't want to source the stuff. And then I came up with the idea of, oh, well, what if I did Amazon affiliates? Because then I don't have to source anything. All I have to do is set up an affiliate program and pick 6 to 12 or 20 or whatever, however long I want to do this live stream for, 3, whatever it is, pick out these products and then link up those things in descriptions. And I was like, ooh, that would be easy because I wouldn't have to worry about getting the products. And then today, so I signed up for a trial of digital marketer, because with some of the stuff, the online campus stuff we're doing at our church, and I wanted to brush up on some things because we're going to be doing a lot more with like Facebook ads and lead gen type stuff, and just needing to brush up on like the Facebook pixel and some stuff like that. So he has a lot to say. I'm in there and I find this course on Amazon FBA, and I'm like, well, I was kind of interested in the Amazon thing, and I watched it. I'm like, oh, this is kind of like the exact opposite what I was looking at doing. Instead of being an affiliate, I'd actually be a provider. And now obviously there's a lot more work involved, like the whole sourcing things from Alibaba and China and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I've spent a few hours today doing research. I'm about ready to go on a week-long vacation up to my family, and so I think I'm going to use that time. You know, Gary Vee talks about putting in the 10 to 20 hours of research on something that could change your life. So I'm going to look into that because, then the one downside, so what I liked about it is I actually liked the whole, it's funny because I didn't like the idea of going to thrift stores and shops and stuff like that, and yard sales and stuff like that, and trying to find stuff. That actually, I just didn't like the idea. But for some reason, the idea of finding products and talking to suppliers and stuff in China and getting it shipped and stuff in Amazon, that does sound interesting. Because then there's like, I don't know what's the mental disconnect. I don't want to go to a garage sale or a thrift store, but I have no problem logging in and talking to, like, I just spent like 2 hours tonight messaging this company in China back and forth about samples and product and all this kind of stuff. Okay, yo, that was really weird. Someone just tried to call me. It's like, Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:07 p.m.
Yeah, and it was a local number. I think it was one of my students accidentally tried to call me because they immediately hung up, but it stopped the video. All right. So I'm still looking into it. And one of the negative things is like, oh man, but then I wouldn't be able to do, it's just on Amazon. I wouldn't be able to do the whole crazy marketing shows and posts and videos and whatnot and build that brand and stuff like I kind of wanted to do with the affiliates, but then I'm getting paid much larger commissions on. So if I'm selling something, instead of making a couple bucks, I could be making, so instead of making pennies on the dollar, I'd be making the dollars, and then Amazon would be taking the pennies. So if I'm putting in the work, that sounds more interesting, like actually making a good amount of money. And then the idea that like I could do this for a couple of years, and if I got tired of it, that these Amazon FBA businesses have large resale value, and they sell for like 30 times what you're bringing in monthly is their value. That's pretty interesting. So I could literally set one of these things up, do a button to practice all this marketing stuff for like our church and like real world stuff. All those skills apply over. And then once we hit scale with the church, then basically sell this thing for 30 times what I'm making monthly off of it. Yeah, that's super interesting. And then I'm doing a little bit of research and finding out that like, well, you don't necessarily, the marketing stuff still comes into play because there's also out of Amazon marketing, and where all your content stuff comes in. I'm like, oh my gosh, this might be interesting. And it's like, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do the whole Gary Vee thing, the whole document over create. So if I decide to do this, I'm going to be doing little updates on what, like, over the next couple of weeks of my research. And if so, what I do. So they talked about, one of the things I read about was talk about niches. And so far, which I'm familiar with that is, back in the day with Noah Kagan taught me that stuff in AppSumo. So far, the 3 that I'm interested in is, and I have to do more research on, and then I don't know, do I do 3 different niches? Or do I do 1 and then add others? But so far, the 3 I'm interested on, and again, I haven't done the research on these, so it could completely change from here. But the first one is just because my personal interest is like superhero type stuff, Funko Pops, action figures, that kind of stuff that I can source, like super cheap from China, buy and then sell on Amazon and make a profit on the content stuff. That would be fun. The second one would be that I'm interested in is electronics. Now that one would cost more to get into because they're going to be costing more per, but then I can make more money because now we're talking about like 80, so for example, I was looking at a 4K camera that I could purchase for $88 a piece and then probably sell for a couple hundred. But now we're talking about $88 with minimum quantities of 10 or 100 versus something that's cheaper I could be getting for a couple bucks a piece, which then takes me in the third category I'm interested in, which is actually makeup, because it is so hot right now. And makeup, I mean, makeup's always been hot, but it's like just so many opportunities right now. Like the nail dip stuff is so popular, and like the mascara lines and all kinds of stuff. And it would be the cheapest to get into, and then like build a brand around, which sounds really interesting and cool. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna do my research, and like I said, if this doesn't go anywhere, you probably won't ever see this, unless I just pull it up as a funny thing I thought about for a week as an example or something. But if it is, then like I said, this will be like the first video on like my new YouTube channel of my adventures of trying to do this whole Facebook thing or Amazon thing. So I'm going to research a little more research on affiliate marketing, which is what I'm familiar with because I've looked at it. I've even set up those accounts in the past. So I'm going to basically compare 3 things and see if any of them are worth my time: affiliate marketing, FBA business, and just actual retail arbitrage. If I can source products from China, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to go in and do this stuff in thrift stores and whatnot. So if I can put in the hours of research there, I can do the same thing. So I'm going to research the 3 of those and see, or maybe the answer is all the above. I don't know. So, all right, that's it for this first video.